Can I just say one thing firstly? I love the name Eat, Sleep, Boxing, Repeat.
Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel in partnership with sharpbetting.co.uk, your home for all your betting tips and expert analysis on not only boxing but a number of different sports. So if you're a big sports fan and fancy a bet, please check out the lads at sharpbetting.co.uk in the description below. It's me and Paul here today giving our final predictions for this weekend's WBO welterweight world title clash between the unbeaten Brian Norman Jr. and challenger the Puerto Rican Derrieck Cuevas in Las Vegas over 12 rounds, course on the same card as Sandy Ryan, Michaela Mayer, their rematch. So, yeah, Paul, first of all, I hope you're well as always, and let's get straight down to business. Brian Norman Jr., Derrieck Cuevas, world title action. What is your final prediction?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, mate. Pleasure as always. Do you know what? I actually think this is. I think I like Brad Norman Jr. I think he's a good fighter. He's only 24, and he's already 26-0 and a world champion. Yes, he was upgraded obviously from the interim belt, the full WBO belt. But yeah, I think he's a good fighter. Looked good last time out, against Santillan in the 32-0 undefeated fighter. Good 10th round stoppage there, I think. I expect Brand Norman to make a successful defense of his WBO title here. I think Derek Cuevas is quite a limited fighter. I think he's had the odd 10 rounder, but I mean, his one defeat was a split decision over 6 rounds. I think he's to a fighter who had lost 8 times. He drew with someone before who had lost about 10 times, I think. Never really, he's only fought in America and Puerto Rico, but at a very, very low level. I do look and think, how is he in a position to get a shot at this belt? To be honest, he must have a decent enough ranking. He also hasn't fought since December 2023. Mate, that's an alarming thing for me. Brian Norman Jr. of the four welterweight champions, people would maybe say he's potentially the weakest, but I think he's going to win here. I like his style. I like the way he goes about his business. I think he's a decent fighter, and I'm expecting him to win, mate. Method of victory wise, I'm probably going to lean towards a stoppage, and I'm going to go with Brian Norman Jr. to stop Derek Cuevas around 7, 8, 9 range.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of disagree with your take there. I like Brian Norman Jr. as well. I think he is good to watch. He has his flaws. He definitely has his flaws. I think he's quite easily hit. You know, his head movement isn't the best, but come here, he's not many people are perfect fighters, but I do like him. As you said, he had a good win against Santa the last time out. You know, he's heavy-handed too, Brian Norman Jr. He seems to really be able to punch. He seems to be an explosive puncher. Cuevas, I think Cuevas is a decent fighter. As you say, he is limited, you know, but I think he's technically solid enough. Um, you know, as you mentioned, he hasn't beaten anybody of real note. So I do expect Brian Norman Jr. to kind of deal with this level of fighter. Um, Maybe a late stoppage as well, I'll go for. You know, I think, as I say, he's heavy-handed enough to get him out of there. I think Cuevas could have success early, but yeah, I think Brian Norman Jr. is just too experienced against a better level of opposition. You know, in terms of the likes of a Santalam. But yeah, I think he's heavy-handed enough and quick enough to kind of get the stoppage, break Cuevas down and get the stoppage. So yeah, both going for late stoppages in terms of our final predictions here in this one for Brian Norman Jr. You know, just kind of to get into Brian Norman Jr. a little bit. Of course, WBL welterweight champion, and you know, welterweight is a strange division now compared to what it used to be. You know, it used to be the glamour division of boxing, really, didn't it? It was stacked with kind of superstars. You still have good fighters in terms of Jerron Ennis, Stanionis, of course, who is fighting Ennis in the unification coming up soon. What do you think, kind of? Where do you think Brian Norman Jr. fits in the landscape of welterweight in terms of how would you see him getting on in kind of unification bouts against the likes of a Stanionis, Boots, or even a Barrios, you know, the WBC champion? How do you see him in that pecking order?
Yeah, mate, that's an interesting question. I think if you have those four as the four best in the division, um, I would probably just because they have the belt holders. I would probably have Brian Norman Jr. ahead of Barrios at this minute. I think I would favor him to beat Barrios. I think he would maybe struggle against Boots and Stanionis. I think I would probably pick both of them to beat him. I'm actually a big fan of Stanionis. I actually think he'll give Boots quite a lot of issues. Um, I mean, I don't want to turn this into that video, but I think Boots will win that. But I think Stanionis will definitely have his moments. I really rate him. Brand Norman Jr. probably just below that, but I do think I would favor him to maybe be able to beat Barrios at this stage of his career. I think Barrios has looked great in some of his recent fights personally. Um, yeah, and he's always got that equalizer, Brand Norman. Like as you say, maybe there are flaws there, but he seems to be he's heavy-handed. He's a big puncher. Seems to carry his power late. Plus, another thing, like he's a good few years younger than you and I now as well. Do you know what I mean? He's only 24 years of age. He's he's still lots of learning, and he can keep on improving. So I'm sure he'll only get better. But in terms of the welterweight landscape, I do maybe have him as it's the not the weakest, but maybe the second weakest champion.
Yeah, again, it's hard to kind of disagree with your take there in terms of where he stands. I think Barrios is a decent fighter, but I think he's just a step below the likes of Boots, Stanionis, and even Norman. So I would favour Norman to beat Barrios if they were to fight next, and probably I'd pick Norman Jr. to beat anybody else kind of coming up in the division at the minute. I don't know, is there kind of I know there's of course Lewis Crocker, Paddy Donovan as well, which are probably the two next on the horizon for world title shots. So they'd probably present the biggest challenges. But then there's Boots and Stanionis, I think, are in a league of their own at 147. I really do. And again, I think that Boots and Stanionis will give Boots plenty of problems. I do like Stanionis as well. I think that's a fascinating clash of styles in that one. But yeah, I'd pick Norman Jr. to beat Barrios, the WBC champion, definitely. And it's another good point that you made about how young Norman Jr. is. You would forget that he is still only 24, to be honest with you. So yeah, plenty of time to improve, and who knows what'll happen after. Will Boots move up even? Will
Yeah.
Boots end up moving up and kind of leaving it even more of a gap, more kind of fragmented belts for welterweight? So yeah, that'll be a quite interesting one. But yeah, that's all we have time for on this one. Just myself and Paul giving our final predictions for this weekend's WBO welterweight world title fight between Brian Norman Jr., the champion, defending against Derrieck Cuevas in Las Vegas, of course, on the same card as the Sandy Ryan Michaela Mayer rematch. So yeah, let us know what you think in the comments. Do you agree with our picks, our final predictions, or are you going for a Cuevas upset? Get involved down below, and as always, don't forget, please like the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel at ESBR Boxing, follow us on all social media, and of course, check out the lads at sharpbetting.co.uk in the description below. Paul, it was a pleasure, and take care.
Cheers, mate. All the best.